We're doing a 2018 Toyota Sienna transmission fluid change. We're going to set the emergency brake. So you need a 10 millimeter. To loosen this. So it only takes 3.5. Now inside of here, you got to use a 6 millimeter to unscrew the tube that tells you how full it is. And this is going to allow the rest of the fluid to come out. And this is what you fill to when you put your 3.5 quarts in. So a lot of people, when they do their video, they do not tell you to take out the center fill tube. They tell you to just keep draining it and putting new stuff in and put like 10 quarts in until it's flushed. Well, that doesn't flush it, because if you don't get to the bottom of this tube right here, you're not flushing the system. So this gets out all of the old fluid that's in the transmission. It's the lowest point of the transmission. All right, so now that this is done dripping, draining, I'm going to put this back in it. Don't want to cross thread it. That one's plastic. And there's no torque on this. You just screw it in until it stops. Transmission plug. Take off that 10 millimeter. Take off this 10 millimeter. Pull this back. Take off these 5 bolts here. So you're going to leave this all together. You're going to have to take these 2 things off. That bolt's going to fall down in there every single time, even when you put it back on. So right there's your fill plug. That's 24 millimeter. We're going to pop it loose. I popped it loose. So, still got the tire on. Just going to put this in here. And then fill it up with the regular. So the fill plug, tighten it to 29 foot-pounds. All right, we're at 95. I'm going to put it in all the gears so the transmission fluid gets distributed.
Does that pump it?
No, I'm just putting it in different gears. Wow, this is an 8-speed transmission.
No,
look at that.
I sit in the
It's a
middle.
CVT, that's what it is. Now what you do, take your plug out. And it's only going to drain down to the top of that level tube. So it's going to stop as soon as it gets to the top of that level. And that's the right level right there. And this one gets torqued to 15 foot-pounds. I've changed the torque wrench back from 29 to 15. All right, I started with the top right one, and I did the bottom one. And the hardest one is going to be this one, because you can drop it, but it'll fall down into here instead of there. And don't tighten any of them until you've gotten them all lined up. That'll help you out. Fasten your 2 10 millimeters, and you are done. Okay, here's everything I used. 10 millimeter hex, 6 millimeter hex, 14 millimeter 3/8 extension, 14 millimeter half-inch deep wall, 24 millimeter half-inch deep wall, 10 millimeter 3/8 for the 10 millimeter bolts. Need a torque wrench, of course your ratchets, but you don't need anything to push those plastic retainers off. Those plastic retainers can stay on while you take off everything to access that fill plug. Then of course you need something to funnel the fluid into there, and you need 3.5 quarts of WS, world standard transmission fluid. Then of course you need something that's going to read the temperature of the transmission. You press this menu button and access the service check, and that'll tell you what the transmission temperature is. Now this one was too hot for me to do it when it had been driven, so I had to wait till it cooled off and check the fluid the next morning.